Okay, so our first round matchup is once more the Orlando Magic. So because we just played this team last year, I'm not going to bother going too in-depth with the matchup because there are only a few matchups worth talking about again, as we already kind of know what we're dealing with from last year. The difference between this year's Magic and last year's is really two players. Mo Bamba, who is starting at the 4 for this team and is now an 82 overall, and they have a shooting guard replacement for Evan Fournier named Kelvin Lewis, and this guy is a sniper. He has a 99 3-point rating, and no, that's not an exaggeration. He genuinely has a 99. As for some losses, though, this team no longer has Aaron Gordon, and Cole Anthony has been reduced to a bench role, so his impact is less so than it was last season. As for us, well, we added Paul George, except now, unfortunately, Jonathan Isaac is playing small forward, which means that Playoff P has to score on a Defensive Player of the Year, so that's probably going to be fun. But as I said last year, I'm not too worried about this team. They've gotten even bigger with Bamba at the 4 in place of Gordon and improving their shooting with Lewis, but just like last year, even though there is a real chance of their defense making life really difficult for us, their offense is not good enough for them, especially against our #1 ranked defense in the league, for them to beat us in a series. And that's pretty much all the analysis necessary. Normally I would dive deeper, but I really don't feel a need to because we played them last year. So let's just get into it. Okay, so heading into game 1, we obviously have the home court advantage, and right out of the gate, we get a shot that goes in for Paul George, but a very difficult one. Jonathan Isaac is a tough matchup to try and score on, and Paul George is going to have a tough time as a result, especially in this game, as you'll see later. Early on, we have LaMarcus in the game with the fadeaway over Markelle Fultz. His post ability and scoring ability in the post, outside of just the screening that I got him for, has definitely been a nice added touch to our bench unit, because I'll be honest, Goran Dragic and Gary Trent scoring-wise were not as amazing as Tobias Harris was for last year's Sixers previous to this year, so that was definitely a nice addition to help the offense there. Weird play right there as PJ Tucker kicks it to Gary Trent for the 3. Another thing about Gary Trent that is unfortunate is to a lot of people it seemed like Gary was breaking out, especially in the playoffs last year, and I do think it's fair to make that assessment, and then we just kind of put him in a bench role. But honestly, I was never planning on Gary Trent playing as well as he was for me, so I wasn't going to completely shift plans just based on a couple of good games for him. Like, I wasn't going to not trade for Paul George because Gary Trent was doing well, as good as he was doing. So unfortunately, Gary just has to have this reduced role. Seeing him break out to a borderline star level player was definitely fun, but it wasn't the best thing. But Paul George right there, you see that fadeaway. Granted, it was a dumb shot, but he gets blocked right here. I know he's tired, but if we look at the stats, Playoff P is in full form to start this game. 3 for frickin' 17. Then I overjump on that shot right there because that's the guy who has the 99-3 open, and then he gets the and 1 instead. Dragic with that pull-up. This guy with the 3-pointer, he's another rotation player that I don't believe was on the team last year, but we are going down big to the Magic right now, and it's not going to be easy to recover from. Nice dish there by Dragic. With Paul George in this game, I just could not get by Jonathan Isaac, so almost every shot that I ended up putting up was pretty well contested. This is like the first open shot right there that I've got with him the entire goddamn game. Down low, Vooch just had Ben too low into the post, and then look, I appreciate the effort right now, Paul, but it's a little bit too late with that 3-pointer, and he misses this one, and I just decide, I don't need to play out the last minute of this game. It's over. So yeah, very rough. 5 for 20 for Paul George. So all the people memeing on me when I traded for Paul George about how he was going to fail me in the playoffs, well, he's failed me in the playoffs in at least the first game of the series. I have a question. Do you guys notice how much first of all, Curry range for Vucevic right there, which was ridiculous. Do you guys notice how much dimmer the footage here is? It seems like there's less contrast to the footage in the second game, and I didn't change anything at all. Nice fadeaway there by Paul George, who's off to a good start early, which is nice to see considering the game 1 he had. Pump fake gets Bamba out of the way, and he is able to put the layup up. So a very good start for Paul George. Dragic with the pull-up. Gary Trent with this 3-pointer with a very good contest from Lewis. Did not matter. Post fade right there. CJ gets it to LaMarcus for the long 2 catch and shoot mid-range shot. Probably could have dished that to Paul George, but it's fine. He gets the 3-point opportunity right there. 11 points in the first half. Rodney Hood with the mid-range pull-up, or not a pull-up, just a catch and shoot. And then, yep, I just greened a 3-pointer with Ben Simmons, and I just wanted to highlight I have a 45-3 slider, and he has a 73-point rating. So I greened them with him a good amount in practice. I never expected to green one in an actual game. But that was a good sign for our ability to actually win this game, because I mean, if Ben Simmons is greening 3-pointers, then we're doing pretty well for ourselves. And then to close out this half, just to prove that further, CJ, pull up from 3, green release, bang. So going into the third quarter now, we have a 10-point lead, make that a 12-point lead as Paul takes Markelle Fultz to the basket rather easily. Vooch misses that layup but gets his own rebound and dunks on Ben Simmons, which was not very nice of him. CJ driving to the basket gets the and one on Lewis. Holiday with a pull-up mid-range shot, which I barely ever get for him. And remember this shot from game 1, the fadeaway that just airballed? Well, this one over Isaac is a little bit cleaner as he drops that one with the green release. Now, it was a better shot for sure, but still, it's nice to see him, Paul George, have a recovery from that very poor first game. Grant with the backdoor cut drops that one. Marquise Chris with the Kobe-like baseline fadeaway. That was definitely cool to see. And then here's your annual. Jeremy Grant takes it off with a dribble and scores. I don't know why I said annual, because it happens like once or twice a game. But LaMarcus Aldridge still able to dunk despite being 90 years old. That's nice to see. And then he gets deep post position, and he's able to green that hook shot over Cole Anthony. And then in this play right here, a weird double team, which led to a wide open layup for Ben Simmons. Jonathan Isaac misses that 3-pointer. So we have tied the series at 1 apiece after losing game 1. Paul George wasn't amazing in this game either, but he was definitely better than the first game, definitely better efficiency. And I decided to simulate game 3, and the Magic have a 5-point lead, and I wanted to come in and see if I could make the comeback, get that alley-oop there to Ben Simmons. CJ with Vucevic on him, you know I got to take advantage of that as he drives to the basket and gets the layup. Although I've noticed with CJ, he's not really fast enough that I can often always take over and get by a big man when that switch happens. Sometimes they keep up, but he was able to get by Vooch on that one. And then speaking of the devil, CJ with the deep 3-pointer on the break makes it just a 2-point game. Drew Holiday driving gets that one to Ben, who gets the dunk to tie it up. Plays good defense on Vooch as he prevents the layup at the basket out of the post, and then he kicks it to Drew Holiday, who gets it back to Ben for the trailing Vucevic, who could not close that one out. 2-point game there, but Vooch has Ben very deep down low, is able to knock him out of the way for the layup. And to close out this game, very similar game winner to what Paul did against Portland. Mid-range baseline jump shot off of the floppy set. There's 6 seconds left for them to get a shot up, and well, Cole Anthony just did that. So that was definitely not the best possession for Orlando, but we now see ourselves with a 3-1 lead. Good defense there by Ben Simmons leads to the Vucevic miss, and then in transition, CJ gets it back to Paul George, who knocks that 3-pointer down over the late contest from Jonathan Isaac. But Lewis, he has not shown his range thus far in this series, but he drops that 3-pointer right there. Ben Simmons back to Paul George, and if you're not going to step up Markelle Fultz, he's going to drain that one as he gets another 3-pointer. But Lewis, there's the shot, 99 3-point rating. Of course, it's going to drop. Another one in the face of CJ, holds the form over him. Brutal. So 3 3-pointers to open the game for Lewis, but Paul George driving and gets the and one. And then now with this guy on him, he just takes it right to the basket, and Cole Anthony's not going to do anything to stop Paul George, but then he gets the 3-pointer out of the corner, so very good shooting for the Magic thus far. Another 3-pointer out of the corner off of the pass from Cole Anthony, I believe that was, but Paul George gets him right back. Very good start for Paul George in this game. As you see, he has 18 now. Rebound by Ben Simmons. Paul George is out of the game to start the second, and Gary Trent gets this wide open 3-pointer, which drops. So a good back and forth and a shooting game early for both teams. Dragic gets in on the action with a 3-pointer out of the pull-up. CJ with the pull-up mid-range shot off of the screen from Ben Simmons. Simmons, Ben attacking Vucevic. I have to show a couple of these per game. I try not to abuse Ben Simmons too much because really, if I wanted to, I could just win the championship easily every year by just abusing Ben Simmons because 2K doesn't know how to guard him. 3-pointer there by Paul George, 25 in the first half. Off of this spin out of the post, make that 27 in the first half for Paul George. 10 for 18 shooting, 4 for 10 from 3 in the first half. 27 points in 13 minutes. Absolutely ridiculous. CJ gets that to Paul George. Isaac jumps for no reason, so that gives the easy baseline to Paul George. CJ with this scoop shot. I honestly don't know what the end result ends up being for Paul George's scoring total if you put it into like adjusted to 12-minute quarters. I don't want to know what it is because it's probably disgusting, and he probably, if you adjust the numbers, broke MJ's scoring record of 63 against the Celtics in this series. Cole Anthony with that step back shot, Jeremy Grant with this wide open 3-pointer, so we're starting to get a little bit more separation between us and the Magic. Dragic with the nice drive inside. I had Gary Trent wide open in the corner there and completely missed it, but LaMarcus Aldridge is able to make that fadeaway jump shot. Lewis missing that 3-pointer off of Paul George's contest. And speaking of Paul George, he gets it back from Ben, and he throws down the dunk. 37 points now. Make it 40 off of the catch and shoot from Ben Simmons. Why can I not talk? Mo Bamba misses the free throw. I almost called him Bam earlier. CJ with his 3-pointer. So we're just making it rain now, trying to close this one out. I don't know how the hell CJ made that 3-pointer, and I don't know how that was just a 32% contested. Paul George with the fadeaway jump shot off of the screen and trying to get him to 50. He can't quite do it, but Paul George with 47 points in 23 minutes on 19 for 30 shooting. And, of course, we win the series versus the Magic. But, I mean, talk about a comeback, because first game, he's 5 for 20. This game, he's 19 for 30, 5 for 12 from 3. Absolutely amazing performance from Paul George. I imagine that would break the scoring record with adjusted minutes in a playoff game. But great series versus the Magic. And in the next round, we have a second date with the Boston Celtics, who beat us in the playoffs last year. So that should be an interesting one.